Hey guys, it's Tahera Rene from Filter Free with Tahera Rene Christy. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me tell you about it. It's free, first of all. We like free. And it's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And Anchor will actually distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need in a podcast all in one place. But right now you got to go download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Do it now. Go.
It's time to listen up to the sound of hope for a good tomorrow. 'Cause it's filter free with Tahera Rene Christy. Yes, it's filter free with Tahera Rene Christy. Oh, it's filter free with Tahera Rene Christy. Oh, it's filter free with Tahera Rene Christy.
What's up, everybody? This is Tahera Rene Christy with Filter Free with Tahera Rene Christy. Welcome to another amazing episode. I am so excited to introduce this next woman to you. She is an amazing guest that I'm so excited to have on my show. Her name is Tamika Michelle, and she is an amazing life coach as well as a podcaster. She has a new podcast called Tuesdays with Tamika, and she is so excited to share with you all some amazing stories and life lessons that she's learned along the way. She's lived an amazing life, and she has a story to tell, and she's written books about her journey and some journals that are going to help you on your path and journey to actualizing and fulfilling your life purpose and dream. And so I want to introduce this woman to you all, and please all welcome Miss Tamika Michelle to our show. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. I love it, and I always count it an honor and a privilege whenever I get the opportunity to share on someone's platform. So thank you.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. It's really a blessing to be able to have strong Black women, especially who are not afraid and ashamed of their history and have turned it on its head and flipped it and turned it into something that is not only something to be proud of, but profitable. So let's talk a little bit about your story. I know you've been through many things. You are newlywed, recently getting married. You have a blended family. So tell me about that journey going from where you were to where you are now in love, life, and relationship.
Man, so where do I freaking begin, right? So I
start from the very beginning.
I'm just a firm believer that our road to like a great relationship doesn't happen with I do, or it doesn't happen when we first know this homeboy checking us out or homegirl checking us out. Our relationship with relationships, it's kind of like a blueprint, that starts early on in our childhood, and I just believe it's a relationship with our parents. The relationship that we have with our parents kind of dictate what type of relationship we'll have with other people. So not to like give you guys all the dirt or, just because we'd be sitting here for hours.
Give us the dirt, girl. We love dirt.
But, I had, just kind of a rough childhood and a rough upbringing. And it really caused me to have some dysfunctional relationships, to keep it all the way 100. We filter free. So I'm going, be filter free.
That's right. Let us know.
I was that girl that, early on in my starting to date or, get to know guys or whatever, I had a lot of sex looking for a little bit of love because I wanted love or craved it.
Yeah. Because
my relationship with my parents was so dysfunctional. My parents were 15 and 16 when they had me. So they were unable to really, they didn't know how to love. They didn't know, they did the best that they could with what they had. But the seeds of abandonment and not good enough started to grow, in my garden, my head, my heart. And so I thought, in order for people to care about you, you have to give something. You have to give them something in order to grow. So I had a lot of mistakes. I got married very, very, very young. I got married 6 months after high school to my children's father. So I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, only knowing him for 3 months. Married this man. He was a few years older than me. He was about 5 years older than me. And fortunately, I want to say we kind of beat the odds in some ways, because statistics say that when you marry that young and that quickly, your relationship ends very quickly. But we lasted about 12, 13 years, had 4 amazing children that came from that. And because I am a product of the Pentecostal Church, Apostolic, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized, I'm a part of one of those churches. I grew up in that. That's where I come from. That's definitely my foundation. That adds to the blueprint of who Tamika Michelle is. Quickly after divorcing him, because of course, we are taught you get a divorce, you going to hell. So I'm like, oh Lord, first of all, I'm already messed up. Second of all, if I want to be out here dating and falling in love and stuff and having sex, I have to be remarried. So I quickly, after my first marriage, and I don't like to say that I'm a divorced woman. One of my sayings is I've successfully completed some relationships. So
I love it.
After I successfully completed the relationship with my children's father, 6 months after that, I was remarried again.
Wow, that was
6
fast.
months, but I was like, okay, he like me, I like him, I want to have sex, let's go.
Yeah.
But,
that's right.
It was because of that blueprint of that foundation that was laid very early on into my life. And I know that there's a lot of people that could probably resonate with, your value is tied up to a person. So I thought that my value was tied up into who, last name I had, even from childhood. I was a Sim. So the Sims, this is what we do until, my first marriage. I'm a McCullough. And now, to my second marriage. So that marriage, I believe, came to teach me the most. And it was very short-lived. It was only a 2-year relationship, and then we successfully completed that. But in the midst of that relationship was the first time I experienced domestic violence. I experienced adultery. I experienced just so much hurt and heartache. But it was like, I like to believe that all my trials are treasures. So I'm never one to be a pity party and, oh, woe is me. It's like, no, this came to show me, to teach me, to give to me. So after I successfully completed that relationship, I was like, girl, look, sit your tail down. You don't need nobody, nothing. You need to sit down and learn to love you. So from that relationship, one of the great things that happened is I had a major stroke. Because of the amount of stress and just pressure that was I was under. And so I vowed, I remember being in the hospital, completely paralyzed, unable to walk, unable to talk, but I had the activities of my mind, as the old folks say in the church. And I just remember praying in my mind, telling God, if I get out of this, and when I get out of this, I'm going to live, and I'm going to live fully. So just give me another chance. And I tell people, I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Kill Bill. She's like in the, I don't know what she was in, but it's like the beginning of the movie, and she's like talking to her feet, and she's like, you will move, you will move. Like that's kind of what I used to get me out of the situation of the stroke. So I remember laying there, and I would get up before physical therapists would come. I would get up before my friends and family would come and help me get out of bed. And I was just like, Tamika, you got to move. Like, you're going to have to move because there's greater things in you. At this time, I couldn't see the greater things, but I felt them. And I think sometimes we have to go on. There's seeds of doubt, of depression. There's all these negative seeds, but all of us also have, like this spark, the seed of resilience. So I just focused on that. I focused on the good. And once I successfully completed that relationship, I hit the ground running. Once I got the activities of my never even know that I had a stroke, because I have no effects, thank God, of the stroke.
Let's talk about that real quick, because I'm looking at you right now. I know that you're not an old woman at all. You look 34, 35, and I only know that because I know you have children that are my children's age, and I'm 38, 39. So I'm like, okay, how old were you when you had this stroke, and what brought this on? And let's educate our public right now about what we can do to prevent something like that at such a young age, because that's a little scary.
Absolutely. So first of all, I just celebrated 40. Ow!
Congratulations. So you're not an old woman at all. You're a very young woman.
No, I'm very young, but I love, that I'm 40, because they say black don't crack. So
it really doesn't. You look very good, girl.
Thank you.
Now, what do we do? How do we prevent stroke? Because that's scary. Like I've heard about it. I know people who have died from it in their 30s, especially as African Americans. We're more susceptible to that. So what are we looking out for? What do we need to do to prevent that type of stuff from happening?
Absolutely. So the saying that stress can kill you is absolutely true. I was 38 years old, so I am 40. I'm 8 years post-stroke. And I was 32 years old. And here's the thing,
That's
I was
young.
actually very healthy. I was, funny story is when me and you met, I don't know if you remember, but we went on the 5K run.
Bubble run.
Yes,
totally
run.
Fit.
Yes. So I've always been athletic and fit. No cholesterol issues, all the things that they say contribute to a stroke, no heart issues, no, any of those things, but stress. I think as women, sometimes we wear these capes of superwomen and superwoman. We feel like we have to do all and be all on top of being in just toxic relationships. So I was in such a toxic relationship, and I was silent about it because I was also taught what happens in your home stays in your home. And so I wasn't telling anybody about it. My then husband was a minister. I did try to go to the church and talk to the pastor about it, but I was shunned. And that's a whole nother episode that I definitely...
Girl, that sure is. We're going to have to get into that another time, child, because I can tell you about some church hurt. Let me tell you.
Listen, I was told, that it was pretty much my fault that he was treating me the way that he was treating me. So it literally weighed on my heart. Everything that I was going through. I was married, but I was still very much a single mother because they were not his children. And so I was doing everything. I had 3 kids playing 3 different sports. I had my oldest son was in middle school, and then my 2 younger ones were in elementary school. And I was just doing it all, trying to work a full-time job and trying to continue to see what can I do to get this man to love me. And just the talk, I'll never forget the night before the stroke. I remember my heart just being like heavy, but here I am, 32, no heart problems, nothing, absolutely nothing going on. And I just felt like a heaviness. And I remember taking a deep breath and saying to my then husband, I cannot take this anymore. Like I just knew I couldn't, but I also knew have not been, and nor will I ever be a woman to give up. So I really wanted my relationship to work. I really wanted to work. And I almost feel like God had to, I don't serve a God that's up in the sky waving this scary finger, like, trying to condemn us as, I used to think when I was a little kid, but I do believe that sometimes he gives us things to stop us, to slow us down, i.e. this coronavirus,
That's
i.e.
right.
COVID-19, right? We needed this. We needed this
the earth
time.
Needed this.
Absolutely. Our world needed, our planet needed it. So that next morning after going to bed with such a heavy heart and God knowing, okay, everything that this woman is going through, first of all, this ain't of me. This ain't God. This ain't, but because she's stubborn and she's not going to give up, she's going to fight through this relationship. I got to do something to stop her.
Yeah.
So that next morning, I woke up about 6:30 in the morning, like normal, went to wake my daughter up and fell over right in front of her.
Oh my gosh.
My children came rushing in, and my oldest was 13 at the time. He had to pick me up, and it was something, of course, that was life-changing for them as well as me. Once I got to the hospital, the doctors were, they ran every test. They did stuff that I didn't even know existed, because they were trying to figure out the cause of it. They narrowed it down to, they said, I had a migraine in my sleep. This is just what they couldn't come up with anything else. So they said I had a migraine as I was sleeping, and the migraine caused me to lose oxygen to my brain.
Wow.
So there was just a part of my brain that completely stopped, which caused the stroke. Still, when I go to my neurologist, I have about quarter-size damage on my brain, which is pretty significant. But again, I don't look like what I've been through. Most people that have the size damage that I have are still unable to really walk, or, they have the facial, things that are going on with, and I'm just really lucky that I didn't have any of those things coming out of it. And I know, as you were saying about talk to our community. So this is really a, what is going on?
I'm still here.
Okay. I can't see you, but.
Oh, okay. Oh, my screen is on.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So this is really just a PSA to women that trust your intuition, trust your feelings, because sometimes stress will kill you.
Yeah, literally.
Stress will definitely kill you. Being under too much pressure, we're not built for that stuff. In one of my episodes of my podcast, I talked about the NAP ministry, because there's a whole movement of women of color that have taken on pushing Black women especially to take naps.
Yes.
Because we, in our DNA, when I go back to that blueprint of who we are by our foundation, we have been told that we're lazy, that we're, that we're all these things. So because of that, we always feel like we have to outwork everybody. We always feel like we got to be cooking the dinner, got the baby on the titty, breastfeeding, and vacuuming all at once, right?
Everything.
So we feel like we feel like we have to do these things, because otherwise we're seen as lazy. We're seen as not good enough. So I had that, I remember when my kids were really little, they would want to just sit down and watch a movie, and I would be, okay, but let me fold these clothes. While I always felt like I had to be doing something, and I couldn't just enjoy the moment. So post-stroke, once I've recovered and I'm doing things to really continue to, because the great thing about the brain is, man, our brain is so fascinating, but it rejuvenates itself, and it heals itself once you properly give it the time to do so. I be taking naps.
Good.
Listen, I be doing self-care.
That's right.
I successfully completed that relationship. I got out of there. I was safe about it, because it was domestic violence. So I had to make sure that me and my children were safe.
Yeah.
And I got out, and fast forward, I took years. I took about 7 years off of dating. I ain't gonna lie, I was, I had some situationships, but I wasn't gonna.
Yes, because, I'm familiar.
But I wasn't, I did not want to commit to anybody. I had to learn. I mean, remember, I was 18 when I got married, so I didn't know how to date. Yeah. I didn't know how to do any of those things.
You didn't even know what you wanted, really. You knew what you didn't want, but you didn't know what you wanted yet.
Exactly. So I fell madly in love with myself. I started dating. Girl, I would have a breakfast date, a dinner date, a lunch date. I was having a ball.
That's
my
awesome.
Kids were being taken care of. And all along, I was like really climbing up I don't believe that there's like a corporate ladder, but I was just my own success. I was getting what I needed out of life, so I was starting to have holistic success. My relationship with my children was well. My relationship with their father was well. I was well. I was healthy. I was happy. And so once all of those things really lined up, I remember my last kind of like situationship, I was doing some casual dating, and I realized, okay, I'm having feelings for him, and I let him know, and he wasn't interested. And I was like, well, you know what? I don't have to continue on with this if we're not, and that's okay. No hard feelings, but if you don't what I want, then I can. And I remember praying and telling God, you know what? I was so good, T. Like, I was so good. I was at the point where I was like, if this is how my life is for the rest of my life, I'm straight.
Yeah.
Like, I was good. And I remember telling God that, like, I'm speaking all over the world. I'm coaching women on relationships. I'm doing all these great things. I am so content with how my life is. And if this is how it is, if I don't have a life partner, because, what happens when you're such a strong woman, especially a Black woman, then you become like intimidating to men. So once I got to a point where I was healthy and I was whole, the type of men that now I can attract, because the little girl Tamika, the broken Tamika, was attracted in that trash relationships. Was hard for me to really attract anybody that had the same vibration that I had. So I was like, well, I'm good. And literally 2 weeks after me kind of like just sitting and telling God, I'm good, I'm happy, here walks in my husband. And he inboxed me. So check them DMs, sis. Like, check them.
Oh, they stays in the DMs,
I know women
girl.
always say, like, oh, people are the DMs are creepy. Listen, it goes down. You just have to be willing. You just have to know how to have discernment on which ones to answer.
Because they all in there.
I answered his message, and it was like my mirror. He was exactly everything that I was and more, and so our first date was like really like a fairy tale. It was, and from then, we have been rocking. We're about to celebrate our 2-year anniversary, July 22nd.
Congratulations.
We have a big, beautiful family, blended family with 8 kids.
It's amazing.
And it's all good. It's all good.
Well, that is so wonderful. And so I know that you have taken these amazing experiences, and then this is just you in a nutshell. There's so much to what you said that I really liked, and I like how you talked about him matching your vibration, and it's so important to be energetically compatible as well as have similar goals in mind. So often people in relationships, they don't understand the purpose of a relationship. You got to be able to work together. You got to be able to build something together. And it sounds like you and your husband are really vibing at that same pace of, blending your families, working well together as husband and wife, keeping yourselves healthy, keeping your kids engaged, and building something that is a legacy that you can leave behind. And so one of those legacies I want you to talk a little bit about is your book and your journals that you have done and that you are actually pushing out right now. Tell me a little bit about these journals. Tell me a little bit about your book and what it means to you, and how we can get a copy.
Yes. So at the beginning of this year, I was just kind of busy, doing last year, all of 2019. We had gotten full custody of my husband's children. And so I was trying to navigate the space of being a speaker, being an author, all these things, and now being a bonus mommy of so many children, as well as my own kids. So I was just busy doing. And I remember at the beginning of this year of 2020, God told me to shut everything down and get silent, and that he would tell me, and I didn't do the corny like posts going off of social media. Like, I didn't do any of that. I just got quiet and I just shut everything down. And God told me to go back to my journals. So I had written, like most people that are on the same path that we are, I had like stacks and stacks and stacks of journals, right? And so I started going through these journals, and it was like bringing me the tears, the things that I had manifested. I had manifested so many things, and I started like crossing them out, like, wow, I said 5 years ago I was going to do that, and now I'm here. I said 6 years, so after I had looked through them and I cried and I was like so proud of myself, God said, now why wouldn't you help other people do that? And I was like, wow, I never thought to turn this, something that I do that just comes very easy to me, something that is really what helps me. It's really my therapy. Yeah. I never thought to encourage other people to do it. And, sometimes I think that's how it is when it's something that you do very easy. You think it comes easy for everybody. Right. So I started writing, and my journals are prompted. They're prompted journals. So I give you like a focus, like a word to focus on the day, and then 3 things that you want to accomplish. Well, it starts with gratitude, because we know that gratitude, whenever you're grateful for things, that's what grows. That's what we get more of. So it's I ask the writers to write 3 things that they're grateful for, and then 3 things that they want to accomplish in the day. Because going all the way back to that stroke, I think when we have a list of 10 things, a list of 20 things, that adds pressure, that adds stress. Yeah. But if you just start with 3 things, and then if you don't do those 3 things, you can add them to tomorrow's list, because I like to have to-do lists, but then also to-done lists. Like, what did you do? Like, celebrate the to-done. And then at the end of the day, you go back and you reflect on your day. Like, did you do these things? How do you feel? How was your day? How was your, and then after that, there's a prayer that I like to end the day with. And so prayers that I actually prayed. So Sierra ain't the only one out here praying, y'all. So prayers that I have put into the journal to just kind of center, to really close out the day. So it's a 21 day. The first one is a 21-day gratitude and journal that I'm super proud of, and the other one is my first book that I wrote 5 years ago, and it's 21 stories, short stories of me and my children, things that being a single mother, things that, and it's funny because when I wrote that, it's also it's pretty much a journal, because I have questions and prompts to give the readers to do right there inside the workbook or inside the book. So I'm doing a kind of like a Mother's Day special, a bundle, $15 for both of them. You could find both of the books on Amazon, but they're about $11 a piece. But if you contact me directly, I could send a link, and you could do the bundle for $15.
Oh, wonderful. And how can they contact you on social media?
So I am Tamika _Thomas everywhere on Facebook, on Instagram, or Tuesday with Tamika. You could find me there as well.
So what is Tuesday with Tamika? Tell us about it.
Oh, thank you. So Tuesday with Tamika, I started 10 years ago doing little short videos. So I started 10 years ago. I was working at a continuation school for girls, and I would go every Tuesday and do just like motivate free. It was my time. I volunteered, and I would do talks and just encourage the girls and kind of tell them how to get out of stuff, and to really just motivate them. And so when I would get there, the teacher would write, "It's Tuesday with Tamika," and the girls man, they bigged me up. They made me feel like I was a celebrity when I walked into the class. That's right. And so from there, I started doing 1-minute videos on social media with Tuesday with Tamika. And it was just like a quick inspirational thought. And then again, at the beginning of this year, I got pushed, unctioned by the Lord, if you will, to make that bigger and to make that more, because I knew that there was more in me. I knew that there was more to give. So the podcast Tuesday with Tamika was launched March 5th. And I'm super excited about that. It's just really an inspirational space. My co-host, my sister, she's crazy. We like to say that I'm like the Beyonce. She's like the Solange, because she will cut you. She will fight you in the elevator. You got to have somebody like that rocking with you always. Yes.
That's right.
So yeah, that's Tuesday with Tamika.
That's wonderful. You know, I applaud your story and your triumph and your success and your give back. Our paths are going to continue to cross because your story just is so very similar to my own in so many different ways. And everything that you said, all your Tamika-isms, because you have a lot of them and I love it. So keep with that. Your podcast is awesome. You speak so eloquently and you do not wear your troubles on your shoulder, like some people who do. And that's beautiful because you represent what it looks like and what it feels like to have gone through something and actually created stepping stones for success. And so I applaud you, sis. You're doing an amazing job. I'm so proud of you. Continue to flourish and continue to use let God use you and use your story to help motivate and support other people, especially other women who have had a similar journey. It's not easy out here, and we all think we know everything at a young age, and most of us are broken, but not all of us are willing to do the work to flip it on its head and make something out of it and profit from it. Praise the Lord, okay? He didn't say we had to be broke. He just said we had to be humble, okay? So anyhow, my point is keep doing what you're doing, sis. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for joining me today on my podcast. Give us a nugget of wisdom you want to leave us with as we close out this session.
Thank you so much. If I could leave you with anything, I would say, life often leaves us with scars, but those scars don't have to hurt. And the way that we prevent them from hurting is we don't pick at them and we don't allow anybody else to pick at them. So don't worry about your scars, homegirl, homeboy. Don't allow people to pick at them and continue to live a life to inspire and not impress.
I love it. This has been Filter Free with Tahera Rene Christy. We want to thank Tamika for coming on to our show, and we'll see you guys next time. God bless.